3. Okay, question 3. Find and simplify the first 3 terms in the expansion of 2 plus 5x plus 6 in ascending powers of x. I love binomial expansion, so I felt really confident when I was doing this. And I said, I'm just going to go straight into it. I'm going to say, this is, remember what happens, it's the first term to the 6. Then we would have 6. Now, if you remember the binomial coefficients, you could write it as being 6 factorial over 5 factorial, 1 factorial, or you could just write 6 times 2 to the 5 times 5x. And then our next term is 6 factorial over 4 factorial, 2 factorial, 2 to the 4, 5x to the 2. First 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, we've done it. There we are. Now we're just going to be really, really careful, because this is the bit where things can go wrong. 2 to the 6, we can use it on the calculator, or we can use our portable calculating machine and go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. This bit, that's 6 times by 32 multiplied by 5. If you do 6 times 32 times 5, you get 960 x. And this one I'm actually going to write in 2 stages here. This is 6 factorial over 4 factorial, 2 factorial ends up being 15. That's 6 times 5, because the 4's cancel, but divide it by 2 is 3 times 5. So we've got 15 times by 2 to the 4, which is 16. And this is where we make the mistake. Look, 5x is squared. The whole of that is inside the bracket. So that's times 25x squared. And if we do that, we get 64 plus 960x plus 6,000 x squared. Okay? And loads of people would get a fifth of 6,000 instead of 6,000, because they didn't square the 5 at that point. Right, you've got to be really careful, remember that. Now, part 2. In the expansion of 3 plus cx squared times 2 plus 5x to the 6, the coefficient of x is 4416. So this means somewhere in there you have a 4416x term, and then it goes on either side of it. You'd have a number term, you'd have that, then you'd have the squared term, and so on. This is slightly different to most questions that we've done of this style, because often when you have this kind of follow-up question, you don't have that squared there, do you? That's the twist in this bit. So before we do anything else, I'm going to deal with that squared. 3 plus cx squared means 3 plus cx times 3 plus cx, which means 9, 3 3's, plus 3cx plus another 3cx, so plus 6cx plus c squared x squared. So, I've expanded that first bracket. In part 1 I expanded the second bracket. I can put them together now. I am supposed to be doing 9 plus 6cx plus c squared x squared times 64 plus 960x plus 6,000 x squared plus other stuff. Now I could, if I really had loads of time and not much of a life, I could multiply all of this out. But I'm quite focused on what I want to achieve. I'm only interested in the x term. So how, in multiplying this out, would I get an x term? Well, I get it by doing 9 times 960x. That would give me an x term. And I'd get it by doing 6c times the 64. That would give me an x term. Any other pair of things that I multiply give me something other than that. The first two give me a number. anything else gives me at least x squared, doesn't it? And I'm told that that is 4416. So that is my 6c times 64 plus 9 times 960 equals 4416. And if I work out what I've got there, I've got 384, that's 6 times 64, times C, plus 8640, that's 9 times 960, is 4416, at which point I spot that C is going to be negative. If I rearrange that, divide by 384, I get C as being negative 11 at the end of all of this. And lots of people did, which bit did they do? Well, they didn't get both terms involved. That was the issue that those people seem to have with this. Okay. There we go. That's mathsy stuff.